Hi, and welcome to what's going to be the first video of 2015, and to kick off the year we're going to be doing a review, which is what we did last year. In 2014 I kicked off the year with a review, which in that case it was the Hornby Sentinel 4 WDM. This year of course we're having a look at something different. Do excuse the heater being there. That is because we have had a slight problem with condensation. There's none there now. But the heater is there to hopefully help prevent that. But either way, so today we're having a look at a brand new Loco, as what I usually tend to do reviews of. I know the box is a bit of in worn condition almost, but it is a new Loco, and I picked this up today at a collector's fair. Well, when I say today, at the time I'm filming this video, which I went to a collector's fair that had about 30 stands or more there, and I picked this up for 55 quid, and that is a bargain. And that's not all I came back with. Do excuse the train going by. I also came back with some track, which was a £5, and again that is a bargain because you get 4 of them, as you can see, so that's really good. And as well as the track, I also came away with these 2 points, which were 4 quid for the both of them. The reason I got the track is because I do need some new track, to be fair, or some more track basically. And as well as the locomotive, I also came back with a wagon, which this is a 6-wheeled milk tanker made by Triang Wren, as you can see, which basically at this point Wren took over Triang, I do believe it was, and it's in the United Dairies livery, as you can see, which looks very nice. But anyway, we're here to do a review on the Loco. So, what are we looking at? Well, it's made by Bachmann, as you can tell by the logo there, and it's in the old style Bachmann packaging. And when I say old style, this is the polystyrene packaging, which these days they use the plastic packaging, so they don't use it now. And there isn't really any prizes to guessing what Loco we're having a look at today. Other than the fact that we're having a look at a steam Loco, you should be able to tell what class it is. And today we're having a look at the Ivatt Class 4 in LMS black with the double chimney, which the Ivatt Class 4s, they were designed by HG Ivatt, get it right, of course, hence it being an Ivatt Class 4, and they were all built at Horwich, Darlington and Doncaster Works, which they were built between 1947 and 1952, and 162 of these were built. Only one of them survives, however, which is number 43106, which is preserved on the Severn Valley Railway, which it returned to steam in 2009. And these locomotives, they have been given various nicknames. They've been nicknamed Doodle Bugs and Mucky Ducks, but more commonly they've been nicknamed Flying Pigs, in which the sole survivor, 43106, is known as the Flying Pig. I'm not too sure why they were nicknamed Flying Pigs, but I think the nickname Flying Pig, it suits the Loco much better than Mucky Ducks and Doodle Bugs. I'm not too sure why they were nicknamed Mucky Ducks or Doodle Bugs either. If you do know, you know where the comments box is, do leave a comment, because it would be interesting to find out why they were nicknamed Doodle Bugs and Mucky Ducks. I'm not too sure again why they were nicknamed Flying Pigs either, but again, you know where the comments is. I'm sure there's a reason for why they were nicknamed that. But anyway, so let's get this model open and have a look at her. Well, truth be told, I did already get this locomotive out of the box when I got home, because I had to dust her down a bit, because she was a little bit dusty. But other than that, I haven't really looked at her in detail yet. So, here we have the old style Bachmann box, which we'll put to one side for now. Then here we have the card insert for the box, which on the front it has a picture of the real Loco, of course, which is weathered. In fact, is this why they were nicknamed Mucky Ducks? Because they got dirty? Well, I know all steam Locos got dirty, but could that be why they was nicknamed partially Mucky Ducks? I don't know. And on the back you have the brief history of it. Of course, being a 460, it's a mogul. and these were designed for, well, mainly freight work, and these were influenced by the success of the American S-160 locomotives during the Second World War, which is quite interesting. It mentions why they're called mucky ducks. Then aesthetics, they were constructed with a high mounted boiler and running plates for quick access to pipework and auxiliary, what is that? Auxiliary fittings, I do believe that's how you pronounce it, with the result that they soon earned the nickname mucky duck. So that's why. It's due to the fittings on it, basically, to be more precise. So yeah, it doesn't mention why they're called doodle bugs or flying pigs though, but maybe that could be the same reason, perhaps. But at least I know now why the nickname mucky duck, so you don't need to tell me that. Right, so I'll put the card insert to one side. Here we have the collector club flyer. I don't need that, so that will go in the bin. Then here's the guarantee. Again, I don't really need that either, so that can be put to one side. This I do need, however, and it's the instructions, which I've still yet to put the other ones from the other latest reviews I've done into the folder. So I'll have to do that after this video. This is the first and only instructions for the Ivatt Class 4. And it's all the usual stuff, basically. So I'll put that to one side. God, I've got piles and piles of instruction manuals under there. I need to sort them out after this video. Okay, so there's the Loco. In here we have an unopened bag of details, which we have footsteps, drain cocks for the cylinders. Yep, they're drain cocks. Brake pipes, and these, which are cab doors, basically. So that's nice. So I'll put them to one side, ready to be glued on later. And so all we need to do now is to get the model open. Sorry, not get it open, get it right. Get the model out of the polystyrene tray. Being very careful with it because I don't want to damage it. So the Locos come out first, and then the tender. See, look, this polystyrene packaging, it is much better than Bachmann's. Sorry, this is Bachmann's packaging. It's much better than Hornby's. Why? Because, well, it's softer, so you can get the models out of easier. There we go, I was just sorting that out then. So yeah, Bachmann's polystyrene packaging is softer, so you can get the models out of it easier. Unlike Hornby's, that sometimes it's difficult to get the models out of. But anyway, so the Loco and the tender are now out of the polystyrene tray. So, what to look at first? Well, I think we'll start with the Loco, because to be fair, I usually always do. Wow, just look at this. This is a stunner. First of all, we have the weight, which we'll talk about first. It is really heavy, but the weight is important, because without the weight, this locomotive can't really pull anything, basically. The brake rods, they're already fitted onto the Loco, so that saves me a job for later, so I don't have to add them on myself later, because they are fiddly to get in. You do have a NEM coupling at the front there, as it has the NEM socket, so you can remove it if you want. Sprung buffers on the front, so those that like sprung buffers, they've got nothing to complain about. Those holes at the front there, that's for the brake pop to fit into. There's a little hook on the front of the buffer beam to fit a chain link coupling on, should you so wish. There is some small handrails and lamp irons on the buffer beam. Well, on the running board I should say rather. But there are rivets on the buffer beam as well. Just look at that detail. The cylinders there, they're very nice. And there is some rivets on them as well. And then just look at the valve gear, it's really chunky. Just like it was in reality. And you've got the link motion on the side rods as well. It's just so stunning. I can't wait to see all that move. Then you got the wheels here, of course, because without the wheels you couldn't move on the tracks. Then you got this pipe work here, coming down from under the cab and under the running plate, which is just so nice. Then there's the locomotive's running number, 3001, with the classification 4F printed on top of it. And I do like the style of the numbering they've used, which is really good. That's a drawbar connector to connect the tender to the loco, which is good, I like that. You've got some handrails on the back there, on the cab. There's even rivets on the cab and glazing in the windows, like there should be. And there's a vent at the top of the cab roof. Now it doesn't open, but it doesn't really need to. But then, to be fair, I've yet to see Bachmann do a model where the vent does open. There is some rivets at the top of the cab roof though. At the top you've got the safety valves and the whistle, and just look at all that detail around the whistle. That is just stunning. All that pipe work. That does come down actually to this pipe work here, which goes above the top of the cab as well. It got separately put on handrails down the side, and what I love is that it comes down here to the boiler in front of the smoke box, which is accurate to the real thing. You've got the double chimney there, which is nice. You could fit a smoke generator unit in it if you wanted to, but I'm not going to bother. These are the neck holders, as they're called, which are there. There's rivets around the smoke box. You've got some piping coming down here and a dome, of course, and the livery's spot on. You know, they've got the livery right. And just look at the running board. You know, one thing that makes this locomotive unique is that it's at the top here of the loco, but then it's left there as it stops just by the smoke box door, and then it's lower down here, as you can see, and that is, you know, that's something different, that is, and that is being moulded superbly, just like on the real thing. So well done, Bachmann. You've definitely got that right. But then again, all the detail is right. You know, this running board is what makes this loco unique. You don't get a running board like this with anything else. And, you know, just look at the look it gives of the loco as well. You know. There's also, well, of course, there's a handrail at the top of the smoke box door, as well as a lamp iron, and the running number printed on the front, 3001, and the smoke box door handles, or darts, whichever you want to call them, and they are put on separately as well. The smoke box door doesn't open, but it doesn't need to. And then if we turn the loco over to the other side, there's some more detail. You got separately put on handrails, and I love how it stops there, and then it's slightly higher up, this one, on there, as you can see there, and that is accurate, just like on the real thing. You got some pipe work coming down here as well, alongside of this side of the boiler, as you can see, which is very nice. And you got the reversing lever there. Again, the valve gear and the link motion, it's all accurate. And there's even some pipe work underneath the locomotive's running board. Just look at that. Wow. Again, more rivets on the side of the cabin. You got the locomotive's running number again. There's even some rivets on the locomotive's chassis as well, and that is just stunning. You know, still can't stop looking at the running plate. You know, it's just something different, to say the least. Even though I've already said that before. By the way, with the cylinders, the drain cocks fit into them holes there. As you can see, it's quite easy to do. And then the cab detail, now it's not painted, but it's there. You do have some rivets on the back of the loco here though. I've still yet to do a how-to video on painting cab details, which I am going to use the P2 for that one. But I am thinking of using this loco as well, because cab details, it can be different. And when I say by different, you know, the firebox, sometimes the gauges and the dials and the pipework is different. And it's in different places on the smokebox door, you know what I mean. So that is what I'm going to show, this loco and the P2. Some might think it's a bit pointless, But, you know, I think it is going to be interesting. Because every smoke box interior detail is different. It's not always the same as one other Loco. So that is why I'm going to use 2 Locos in that video, when I finally get around to it. And there's always the space of adding crew in the cab as well, should you want to do that. But then again, if you were to paint the interior, you wouldn't really notice the painted cab detail that much anyway. But you can still do it if you want. Nothing's stopping you. Wow. What a beauty. So, that's the locomotive done. Now we come on to the tender. And in the case with the tender, it does have removable coal, which it is easy to come out, but I have pushed it back into place, because when I first got the model, the coal was loose. Because I did take the locomotive and the tender out to give it a dusting down. The coal is indeed removable. If I can just get it out, there we go. It is easier to remove than that, but when I put it back in, I pushed it in, basically. But of course I am going to add real coal in this, as I do with my other Locos that have it. The coal, well, it is authentic looking, just about. So I'll just pop that back in there. See, why can't Hornby make their removable coal loads more easier than that? You know. But then again, Bachmann, sometimes their removable coal loads aren't exactly easy to remove either. But that's just a nitpick. On the back of the tender, spun buffers just like the front ones were. On the back of the tender you have the dovetail connector, but the coupling's still removable. There's bright rods added under the tender, and you also have the water scoop as well, so the Loco could pick up the water from the troughs. There's rivets on the frame of the tender, and you've got axle boxes and springs, and of course you've got the footsteps as well on the front. Separately put on handrails on the side of the tender there, as you can see. There's even rivets on the tender as well, so all the rivet counters will be happy. There's even windows there, because this is the tender back cab, as they call it, which basically prevents the crew from getting wet, basically. That's all you need to know. That's what it's there for. Because otherwise, without this, they'd need a tarpaulin to cover the gap. So you do have the windows in the back there as well, which are there for, so when it's in reverse, you can actually see when going backwards. And you've got the LMS letter in there as well, which is spot on. You've got handrails at the top of the tender as well, and the water filler cap. You've even got rivets on where the water tank is there as well, which is really good. On the back you've got lamp irons, rivets and a ladder for the crew to climb up onto. There isn't much weight in the tender, but then there doesn't really need to be a lot of weight in the tender either, to be honest, so the weight is just right. And then you've got the tender buffers there. They're not sprung, but then they don't really need to be. But there is rivets on the tender buffer beam. There's coal in the chute, and you've got these handles for the water to be transferred from the tender to the boiler, and all these storage cabinets as well. And there's even rivets on top of the tender back cab as well. Wow, this is one detailed model. And this was a locomotive that originally wasn't on my wish list. It's something that only recently appeared on. And when I saw this locomotive on that one train stand I got it off, I thought, I've got to get this. Because the Sole Survivor locomotive, it's just so unique. You know, because it is different to any other 460 you're going to see out there. You know, it's got a unique running board. All this chunky valve gear. And the shape of it as well. It's just something very different. So, that's it for the detail. Now we need to put the model on the track and see how she runs, because I have yet to run her. I trust it will be a smooth runner as well. Okay, so here you are at the track, and we're putting the Ivatt Class 4 onto the rails. Which I should point out, it is technically now evening outside. Because I had to charge the camera back shut because it was low. It's either way. Okay, so the engine is now on the rails, as is the tender. So I'll give it a bit of a wiggle. Oh yes, look at that. That is smooth running. So let's get her going. Right, well, I did have the close connection on the tender coupled, but I had to have the one where you get the little gap in between the Loco and the tender. Simply because the tender, although it would go around the bends, for some reason it would derail on that straight over there. Which is running smoothly though. No grinding noises or jerky movement. So even though the even though the close tender connection couldn't necessarily be used in this case, it's not really a problem. Besides, when I put those cab doors in, it might actually obscure it slightly. But anyway, so she's passing the signal box in the station where some of the people have been taken off there. They will go back on, but that's so I can get that station building I got with the Railway Children train pack on. She's passing by the seaside. It still needs some people on there, but don't worry, that'll be rectified soon. Do ignore that pot of weathering powder behind that fence. That's just there to give it a bit of weight while the glue is drying. Passing alongside the road. Oh, that was a weird noise then. And just then again, I think she might need a bit of lubrication as well actually, so that might have to be bared in mind. And passing over the level crossing, where it now actually has some gates on it. You saw it in the last review I did, which was the N-Class review, which I did last year. And then she's just popped out the other end of the tunnel and passing the mineral wagons in the yard and back to the signal box. She's a great running model. So now let's get some close-up shots of her. Oh, I didn't zoom in on the link motion. Look at that. That is just stunning. Okay, so now we're going to get the Ivatt Class 4, pulling the new wagon, the 6-full milk tanker, and these 3 LMS Stania Period 3 coaches. And this actually does make quite a nice train, actually. You may be thinking, why have I put the milk tanker on this train with these coaches? Well, I have seen this happen on heritage railways, where they have put a milk tanker on a passenger train, and they even did this in the days of steam as well. It wasn't an uncommon sight. And that was mainly if the milk tanker, like, say for example, was going to a dairy or somewhere, because these in reality would be loaded with milk, then they would put it on a passenger train. So it wasn't an uncommon thing to see really in those days, and it has happened on heritage railways. And so it does make, like I say, quite a nice train. I'm surprised that Hornby or Bachmann haven't thought to do a train pack like this. But anyway, so let's get this engine rolling. Oh yes, look at that. I mean, bear in mind this isn't the longest of trains for an engine to pull, but she can cope with it. As you can see, there's the pannier tank from the Railway Children Train Pack and the coaches waiting on shed. Over the level crossing. And then out the other end. By the way, I do plan on reviewing this milk tank in a separate review, so do keep an eye out for that. So it'll be nice to do another wagon review again, as it's been a while since I last did one. But yeah, wow. This Loco can cope with this train easily. It's not a problem at all. And I'm sure she'll cope with longer trains than this, but for now in this video we are sticking with this train. She will need to have some lubrication after this video, and other details put on, but she's such a beauty. It's almost as if that train is not even there. Because bear in mind itself, that milk tanker there, it does have a bit of weight on it, as the chassis is actually made of metal. But we'll get some close-up shots of it now, running around the layout. Right, so what's left to say about this model? She's a cracking model. That's all there is to say about her. If you haven't yet got one of these models and you'd like to own one in your collection, then get one. Because they're worth getting. And you will not be disappointed. I definitely am not. She makes a great addition to the layout. So that brings an end to this review, so thank you for watching, and I'll see you again soon. And this locomotive will be lubricated after this video, by the way. Hi, and welcome to what's going to be the